15th. Minutes of the past meeting. Everyone had a copy? Any changes or additions?
I'll move to approve the minutes as printed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Claims. Everyone has a chance to review the claims and have seen the claims. Any comments or questions?
I'll move to approve the claims in the amount of $273,914.25.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, excuse me. Yes.
Bernard.
Yes.
Morissette.
Yes.
Gensler.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is application for operator's license. You see the two in front of me. They're in front of you. They're between 8/16/11 to 6/30/13. Nancy, we have any issues with these? Everything's been approved?
Move for approval.
Does it make any difference that the
Go ahead.
application for Linda only requested through 2012? I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I mean, she's,
Well, it normally is a 2-year license.
okay, so whether she stated as 2012, it doesn't make any difference. Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Nancy, you might as well stay up here. Review pending expiration of Class C wine license for Antonio's Creole Mason, 517 Second Street.
Yeah, the original wine license was approved on May 16th, 2011, so there's a condition in the chapter that calls for a 90-day startup, and the 90 days will be tomorrow. So council should consider whether or not they want to extend or cancel or somehow.
What's our options?
Well,
Madam?
it's phrased as may, so it's not an automatic shall cancel. So you have the option to extend if you would like to. And you can hear from the applicant on that. If you decide you intend to cancel, you've got to give notice and provide a hearing similar to a license revocation or non-renewal hearing.
Okay.
Has the anticipated start date still September 9th?
Yes.
Would it make sense to go to September 16th then?
Yeah, and I'd so move that.
Sure.
You can just ask her to come
Yeah,
forward.
Deborah, if you'd come forward. Diana, excuse me. Diana, if you'd come forward. Sorry about that. I think there's a question that Lori may have.
Yeah, just wondered if you could explain kind of what your projection is as far as a start date and
Still planning on opening September 1,
September 1.
getting the keys probably sometime this month, and then doing some updating, cleaning, and I've got training scheduled for September 5th, the week of September 5th, VIP party for September 9th, and open for business on the 10th.
Okay. Our August meeting or our next meeting in September will be the 6th and the 18th, 19th. So should we go till the 19th? Would that seem like a reasonable
So
extension?
move 19th, September 19th.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is the review the room tax revenue. Neil?
What you have in front of you is a summary of room taxes collected through the end of the second quarter. We received the second quarter receipts in July. Included in there, when you'll look down to the uses of the funds, the expenditures, there's $26,000, $26,879. That would be the 70% Chamber of Commerce portion that was included in the claims that you recommended for approval.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Looks like they're running about, what, $8,000 ahead of projections, or last year, excuse me.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
We're just reviewing.
I just
No.
have no big questions. The Pee Wee hockey tournament didn't show up because that was in,
No, that was in June.
it was in June, so it's all in here.
Should be, there was some payments that were made in July, so maybe.
Okay, I was
depending on when the
thinking it was
building
in
done,
July.
but-
Yep.
So there was 3 motels that were full for
10
12
days.
days.
So that helped.
Yep. Randy, you had a question? Okay. And also at this time, we'll have the Chamber of Commerce, Kim Heineman will update us, whether this is our semi-annual or annual update or quarterly. We appreciate that. Kim?
You're welcome. Hello, everybody. How detailed do you want me to get at the Finance Committee meeting? I know I'll be doing this at the full council meeting as well.
Give us the abridged or
Okay.
shorter version.
Abridged. Well, I gave you a pretty comprehensive packet, and the reason I did that is because some of the council members are new since we had the big PowerPoint presentation about 3 years ago that talked about the state statute, talked about room tax in general, talked about what expenditures are allowed and which ones are not allowed. So I provided you with information regarding all of those statements, so you can kind of see an abridged view of the purpose of room tax. The Chamber of Commerce in Hudson has been established, or was established in 1953, so we've been, in the community for a long time. In 1987 is when the Tourism Bureau was established, so for almost 25 years we've been the city's partner in utilizing room tax dollars to promote tourism in our community. I do want to say out loud, and maybe I'll save this for the council, with the statistics about increased tourism spending in St. Croix County. I'll save that for later, but you can see in your second paragraph that I have some stats here with reference to increases in the county as well as in our area. The other thing, too, that I wanted to share with you is back when we did the big PowerPoint presentation, the city of Hudson was really pretty progressive in 1987 to institute this room tax scenario, and at that time, the Tourism Bureau received 40% of room tax collections. The 40% was allocated to the Tourism Bureau for spending to promote tourism and overnight travel. 3 years ago, with all of you, we talked about the way to consider getting the Tourism Bureau up to the 70% allocation, which is the now state statute. And so we have had a 3-year plan to move us in that direction so that there was a slow progress to get to that point. One of the reports I gave you showed the progress from the 40% to the 60% to the 65%. This year now is the first year of the 70% allocations. So also within that report, I tried to highlight the fact that where the budget was set by the city, what actually was provided or what was collected, then what was allocated to the Tourism Bureau, so that you can see that the actual percentages weren't quite to the percentages because of the collections weren't where they should be. So we did not get the 60%. We were, I should pull it out, but we were 55%. Last year we didn't get 65%. It was close though, 64% or so. So anyway, with that, getting that out of the way, I want you to also be reminded that the Chamber and Tourism Bureau are guided, or the oversight is provided by an 11-member board of directors. So they get monthly financial reports from me to approve. They also approve an annual budget that we talk about in January. And then we also, as an organization, are either audited or reviewed by an outside CPA firm every year. So people, those individuals are responsible for governance and approval of the budgets and the spending that we do at the Tourism Bureau and the Chamber. The Tourism Bureau and the Chamber, of course, is a front door to the community, and today was a very busy day at the Chamber, and actually I'd like to share with you that we had a motor coach here today from Southwest Minnesota. They stopped here for lunch and for shopping on their way to Door County, and this was a group that was here because of the Circle Wisconsin Fam Tour that we hosted, which is also in your packet here, but that's kind of rewarding when you see those folks around and stopping in to see us. We do take thousands of phone calls a year. We have many hundreds of website hits too in July and August. I know website hits are not necessarily the accurate way to measure, but in July and August of last year, we had over 1 million hits on our website each month, so I think that's pretty significant. The other thing that you have in your packet is an example of some of the actual print advertising that we've done. The one that's on top that Rich has, I see it's the blue one, it's Say Hello to Hudson. That's our newest ad that was, it appears in Minnesota Monthly Magazine as a start for September to encourage fall travel and so forth to our area. I listed on your, in your packets some of the other publications that we advertise in. We have Twin City advertising, we have regional advertising, we have statewide advertising and beyond. Also, I did not put in your packets, but I thought I would hold up some of the printed materials where you see printing, our Passport to Hudson, dining, shopping, lodging, and attraction guides. We print a walking tour guide. We print a events guide. We print maps. We also on our website have stay and play packages where we promote golf and we promote the motor coach travel and so forth. So those are things that I did not provide in your packets, but that I want you to know when you're looking at the expenditures, that's what they look like. I already mentioned the website, very vibrant website. It's a great tool for tourists for sure. We are working on some website enhancements right now. We added a travel promotions link and button on our homepage. We are adding stay and play packages to encourage overnight stays. We also are a partner, extranet partner with the Wisconsin Department of Tourism, so we also have that opportunity to list all of our events and programs on their website and also to partner with them to get that as those people are looking for places to go, Hudson is in a prominent position. I already mentioned the Circle Wisconsin group tour. Am I getting too long? I apologize if I am.
No, I think you've about 2 more minutes.
Keep on going, okay. I could go on and on.
Well, then we'll open it up for questions.
Okay, the Circle Wisconsin Motor Coach, that's a membership that we belong to that we use room tax dollars for. And we also hosted in June the tour that had a full bus load, 55 people from 22 travel companies from 11 different states that came. There are some statistics that Circle Wisconsin provides. 57% of the companies that attended their FAM tours generated $4.5 million in revenue to the state over a 3-year period. So one of them was today, so that's pretty great. I also go to the Wisconsin Tourism Conference every year. Over 700 tourism-related attendees are at that 3-day event. We are a member of the St. Croix Valley Regional Tourism Alliance, which is a regional partnership, so not only promoting advertising and promoting Hudson, we also have presence, we did last year at the Wisconsin State Fair, and also at the Food and Wine Show in the Twin Cities. Last year, if you remember how fast time flies, just about a month ago, we had Farm Technology Days, which helped with the spike in overnight stays, similar to the international hockey tournament that you had because the hotels were full. The Hudson Tourism Bureau had a booth there and volunteered and worked there and so forth and promoted Hudson at that event. Also, if you remember last year, the Nina and the Pinta were also here, so our assistants there encouraged over 15,000 visitors to come to Hudson. Tourism materials, we have tourism materials at several locations throughout Hudson. Our office, of course, and then also the Tourism Bureau office lobby, which is open 24/7. We also have information at Abigail Page Antiques, and we also have information now at Quick Trip up on the hill. I wanted to also say some things just so that you're aware that we have ongoing tourism projects in process that do not use the room tax allocation funds, but are also, in my mind, are also very tourism related. We are partners with the State Department of Tourism, which means that we have a larger presence on their state website, driving traffic here. We also can apply for grants, so we have applied for and received funding for additional travel kiosks, literature racks, and so forth in our office. We also applied for and received a grant to replace the 4 large tourism signs around Hudson that you helped us, you approved and actually selected the design with me. We also are a Gateway Information Center where we provide information on tourism through the state or for the state and different attractions. We've organized TV programming. We've done familiarization tour with travel writers, the Department of Tourism, Twin Cities Media. We also partner with our Chamber Advertising Opportunities Committee for enhanced advertising, so we pool our funding together to get more bang for our buck in advertising. Some other upcoming events that we are doing that are not using room tax: Spirit of the St. Croix Art Festival in September, Christmas Tour of Homes in November, and the Yellowstone Trail Days, which we did in May. We also partner with Chamber committees, Hilltop Pumpkin Party in October, Celebrate the Holidays in Hudson, November, December. And we also have Chamber members who host events that we take thousands, believe me, thousands of phone calls for: the Hot Air Fair, Booster Days, and the North Hudson Pepper Festival. So with the 2 events or 3 events that I mentioned, we figure that we have approximately another $38,000 in additional advertising and marketing dollars that we spend to promote tourism in Hudson not using room tax. To acknowledge also and thank you, Neil mentioned earlier that we did receive the first quarter room tax for this year, May 16th, and you have that amount on your reports, $18,038.92, less chamber dues of $2,500. So the first quarter allocation to room tax spending for the Tourism Bureau is $15,534.92, where we continue to do advertising and promotion and printing and website enhancements and attend the conferences that we can regarding tourism. So that wasn't quite crib notes, but I hope that helps you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Questions?
Just one comment, and I know you didn't mean to insinuate this, but the 70% that we've allocated to the Chamber of Commerce, that's something that the council has chosen to do.
Absolutely.
And we're not held to that by law because we haven't increased our room tax. So it's just something that as a council we've agreed to move toward and to get some of the other spending in line with that so that we're able to provide
Thanks
you guys with-
Thanks for pointing that out. I tried to, when I mentioned that, the reason I gave you all the information on the state statutes and so forth, and I mentioned the grandfather rule and all that, was so that we could go through that or answer those questions. Yes, Hudson is still grandfathered in at the 40%.
So if we were to increase the room tax, we would be required to give 70%
On the new-
to, yeah.
Only on the new, the 40% remains 40%. If you were to raise an additional 2%.
Oh,
Am
I
I right,
see.
Kim?
I believe you're right.
So if you went another 2% up,
Oh, okay.
the 70% would only be on that additional.
Okay,
What, that you're required to do.
right.
Yes.
Okay,
So it's not the whole thing, it's just the new.
okay.
Randy, you had a question?
Kim, I think you and your board have done a great job over the few years. I just had a couple questions, more of informational questions, and I've been involved on the tourism committee for quite some time. Do you think our investment in these memberships are paying dividends? And if so, how are you tracking your investment, your return on your investment?
That's a great question, and I would say our membership dues or fees are minimal in the big picture. The Circle Wisconsin membership is $1,200, so that's the largest of the membership dues that we pay. And I think just based on the spending that happened probably today, I would say that's been a very worthwhile expense. We've worked with our Circle Wisconsin group diligently, provided them with promotional materials. We've followed up with every single one of those individuals who were on the FAM tour, and it's about establishing relationships with that group. So I feel confident that they're going to be back. I bet you there's a bus or 2 back here for the Christmas Tour of Homes, for sure. The Tourism Alliance, yes, absolutely, that's important to belong to. That one is a partnership, bi-state partnership, that all the communities along the river have promoted for 15 years. It's a model within the state for a bi-state partnership promoting an entity like the river. So absolutely. Tracking is difficult because, but what I will say is I think we're really, really crazy busy in Hudson, and that's kind of a testament to all the good things that are happening as a
How many
result.
years have you been involved with Circle
Circle Wisconsin, this is the third year.
Third year.
And how many bus tours do you think you've had?
I bet you we've had, I'm gonna guess, I could tell you that succinctly later. I bet you we've had 10.
So it's paying itself.
And this time, this is the first time that they've actually agreed to a familiarization tour in Hudson.
Yeah.
And we've been working on that since we've been a member. So that in itself is terrific.
Well, I think it's great if you can bring it as tough as times as it is, and if every dollar counts, that we're tracking where it's going,
Yeah.
as you well know. And the ads, I mean, you spend a fortune in ads.
The neat
Minnesota
part about
Monthly,
the ads,
et
thank
cetera,
you,
et
I think
cetera.
it's important to present a really professional and kind of fun look in our marketing materials. The ads that you're seeing there, some of them are resulting with the partnership between my Advertising Opportunities Committee and the Chamber, where we share the dollars, so we're able to get much bigger, broader advertising for less money because we're pooling our funds. And that's been working very, very well.
So you're comfortable with the return on the investment with
Absolutely.
your ads?
Yes, thank you very much for your support with all of this. Very much, thank you.
Any other questions? Rich, you have any
Nope,
questions?
I think you do a great job. I think you do a great job too, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kim. This time we'll move on to review the bids and award contract for sidewalk, curb, and gutter replacement project. Mr. Zulli.
Bids were received for the curb and gutter projects for 2011. We did competitively bid the projects for 2 weeks in the Hudson paper and put it on the city websites. We did receive 4 quotes. Standard sidewalk was a low bidder at $60,055.50.
The question is, have we used them before?
Actually, we have. It's been probably 10 years
Okay,
since they've been in town, and when they were in town, actually did an excellent job. I'd highly recommend them.
okay.
I move we approve the bid standard sidewalk for $60,055.50.
Second.
Okay, one more question, Tom. How much do we have in the budget for sidewalks? 75?
75,000, so this is for the removal and replacement part of the program. And in years past, we do 2 other processes where we do saw cutting
Yeah.
and the foam injection lifting.
Okay,
The foam lifting works really good downtown where we don't have to remove sidewalks. We can level them by, raising the panels and keeping them flush that way.
okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Can we use the remaining 15,000 for crack filling and?
No, I think he,
I
I
think
think-
that's what he was just saying, that's what the range
Uh,
15 would go.
The other 2 processes we use,
Oh, it's gonna go toward this
usually
level.
goes toward that.
any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, I'm sorry there's no workup sheet. Last month, our last meeting, we had the Coalition for the St. Croix River Crossing come in and make a presentation. One of the things that we've done as a council, we approved a resolution supporting the bridge. I received a call today from the mayor of Stillwater, and there's still a long ways to go. And so I will recommend that we donate $5,000 from 2010 room tax dollars that we have left over. I believe there's 5,000 left in there, isn't there, Devin?
I think from past, I think there's 15,000 from years past.
15, but
But we used some of it, didn't we?
We haven't used room
It
tax.
says
not room tax.
the balance from last year was 15. Oh, we're just over.
Right, the 15,000 is
Fine.
over, it's an accumulation over a number of years.
Right.
So I think from a standpoint of everyone knows what happens in our community when that bridge is closed. And I think it's in our best interest to support that, support the coalition and hopefully can get that bridge built. But it's your decision
Where exactly are the funds going, once
to
again?
pay for the coalition, for the lobbyist, for all the time that they do.
And I'm assuming it's non-refundable, it's a donation.
It's a donation.
But it's not going toward the construction of the bridge.
No. We're already paying tax dollars for that as taxpayers.
A little more information from the Stillwater mayor. Is from Washington information that?
Yes, yeah, he said, I think there's a lot of people that think it's a done deal. He said, it's far from being a done deal at this point. We still hasn't gone through, Congress has not approved it. It's
Right.
gone through 2 committees, one in the Senate and one in the House. And the president has to approve it too if it gets through the Senate and the House.
I can tell you from Senator Herb Cole's office when he was visiting last week that he expects it to probably pass, but that's just,
Sure.
you never know.
Any thoughts from anyone else? Is it inappropriate use of our money? I think some people would say we shouldn't be using money for lobbying efforts, but
I think most of the citizens of Hudson will support it, and it's probably a good use of the dollars.
okay. Any other
I
thoughts?
would concur.
Okay, Randy?
Yeah, it's got to get done.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we pay the coalition $5,000 out of the room tax funds that we have available.
Okay, is there a second?
Support the bridge.
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consider credit card payments. Back again for the couple times anyway. Neil, you want to take us on this mission here?
Sure. There are really 2 options when you look at what other communities are doing. One of them is where the user pays, and that's probably the most commonly used. And currently, even in the city, it's used by the police department for the collection of parking tickets. It's also used by the court for the collection of outstanding citations. If this option is used, the person, the user is going to end up paying a surcharge depending upon the extent to which they are, they need support. That if you go to and want to talk to a live person and arrange it, it ranges up to about, 4 3/4%. The low end is about 3.5%. What we would then do is we would get money through a clearinghouse, and we would have to process that on a manual basis. The other instances where the utilities pay for the processing of this, it's used by both River Falls and New Richmond, and they're using the same company. The real advantage of using that, and it's uncertain at this time whether we could utilize it, is they're able to integrate that into their billing and cash receipting software. Right now, with Mike Kruger on vacation, we're not certain whether we can do that type of integration. I guess the other issue there becomes one of cost. And I think I tried to address in the memo kind of what the usage rates are in those other communities. But where you're looking at, if it was to be utilized by even 10% of the utility customers, you would have a cost of $6,000 to $7,000. The issue being there probably in terms of it would increase the efficiency in processing. However, it's questionable whether it would increase you would have any labor savings. The labor savings would be the ability of the people doing that to be working on other things.
The bottom line, after I read your summary, is that there is really no cost advantage to doing this. All we do is increase costs for everyone involved. I don't see any savings here that justifies.
At this time, no. If you were at the point where you were confident you could achieve some kind of reduction where you could get a staff reduction in terms of hours, there may be some payback. But as it is right now, unless you're going to get 30-40% market share, I don't see any true cost savings. If it's provided, it's more of as a convenience to the resident and the user, as opposed to something being done as an efficiency measure for us.
Mm-hmm.
But the 10% of the $6,000 to $7,000, if the utility was interested in paying that, in other words, our water utility wanted to pay that, it wouldn't cost us anything.
Correct.
Well, it comes out of your utility fees.
Correct?
So you are paying it.
Right, but if they pass that on,
if they choose to pass it on.
Right.
Has the
Oh,
utility,
users pay.
The users pay it.
has the utility taken this up yet?
No, I think they've been waiting for our,
Well, we're really talking about two different issues once again, aren't we? The user pay and the utility pay.
Correct. I mean, one is very easy to implement right now, and then the question is whether you want to pass that cost on to the user. The ultimate solution probably is for the utility to pay and to have that to be integrated into our software.
Well, I think that's down the road after we get a recommendation from the IT committee and talk with Mike Kruger. But the user pay we could install right now and initially charge the surcharge or a counter fee, as the county calls it, to have that available at the front desk
At the front desk or online,
at no cost to us.
correct.
But the downside, you pointed out, is an increased workload,
Right.
because staff would be having to,
Sure, when you see, you know, this week's a really good example where you see the number of payments coming in. And it is convenient now with the little barcode that's on each of the bills. There's a scanner there that when they open up the envelope and scan that through, the account is automatically pulled up on their screen. If you don't have that, you know, what you end up doing is they need to go and online do an inquiry to look up to be sure that they verify that account. That's the difficulty, you know, with the user pay, is it does reduce the efficiency of the operation.
so the user pay would just cover the cost of the
Processing.
but it wouldn't cover,
It
Additional
covers,
staff
you know, official payments or one of the other entities to process that payment, collect it, and ACH the funds to us.
Neil, how barbaric is our accounting system? I mean, how far behind are we?
It's an older system. I mean, it's not Windows-based. I think, you know, Devin can probably comment better on the background of it, but I mean, you know, why I think one of the things that, you know, kind of surprised me is that I think it's still written in COBOL language, that for those of you who went to school in the 60s and 70s, was what you used the little punch cards for.
what we have right now is, for all of it, we have a Windows emulator. So what you see on the screen is very similar to what you would see in a Windows program. And that's part of what we have with ACS. You know, the question comes in long-term, how big of it is a priority for the Common Council? I mean, we don't have an exact cost. I mean, the number that Betty threw out a couple of years ago was $200,000.
Well, now, let's not confuse it because there's two different issues.
You were just asking about the software, that's what I'm talking, the accounting software, and the payroll utility, accounts payable, all those things. The question is, the staff right now, it works fine.
Right.
I mean, but the question is, he is correct, it's not the most modern system. We get it to work.
Am I correct in assuming that you don't want a credit card system back there?
It doesn't matter to me. Well, you didn't ask me about the credit card system, you just were commenting about the accounting software.
No, because I think it would be bad for us to not provide that service to our residents, to have the ability to pay.
That's your call. I've never said I'm against this. The question has been the costs and, you know, the cost-benefit ratio for the...
But that's what I'm saying, it's two different issues.
The issue runs in, where Neil's talking about the utility billing, for example, with River Falls and New Richmond. I would not like to see our staff spending a bunch of time hand entering and looking up utility bills. That's my concern. Not that I don't think it's a good idea to provide that the customers...
But we're not at that point yet.
Right, but what he's saying is, it would have that ability right now, correct?
Correct.
The one where the customer pays.
right.
We could include the utility bills in that, because that's where the bulk of the requests, we don't get a lot of requests for
Dog
building
license.
permits and dog
Right.
licenses, because the amount is smaller.
Right.
It's the utility bills where we get the requests. And if we use the payee system where the person paying the bill is paying the fee, what we'll get is a list. They won't get, well, they may give us the account number, but still, that's my concern, is the amount of time that will be spent on doing that. Not that I don't agree that it wouldn't be a bad idea to have it, because we do get a lot of requests for it. But that's your decision as far as the cost benefit.
And at times you would get an account number from them, but then you're relying upon the accuracy of the user giving the person at the processing company the correct account number.
What are we estimating, about 10 to 15% of the people who pay their bills? This is going to impact 10 to 15% of the people?
I think if you went to the user pay, I would think 5% would probably be the top end.
So 95% of the people wouldn't take advantage of this.
That would be my guesstimate.
But you're talking about people who realize that system is not in place, and that it's never been in place to use. So they're just assuming we're never gonna have a credit card system.
Well,
What
if-
Neil, I
if-
think,
if
is
we're
saying
gonna-
is that if people have to pay for it, they're less likely to use it than if we would have a system like New Richmond or River Falls.
Correct.
Or the one that I had originally said that we could hook in with our system, what was $4,000 or whatever. If the consumer doesn't have to pay for it, you'll obviously see a lot higher use then. I think that's what the question is.
And if the workload for 5 to 10% of it is gonna be large, imagine what the workload would be if it increased to 15 or 25 or 30%, the office would be overwhelmed.
We'd
You
like
know,
to think we'd be past that.
How would you compensate for that? We'd have to hire another person to process utility bills? I don't think so.
No.
I think we have to ask what the driving force is behind people using credit cards. Yes, it's convenient, but if it's additional time and expense for the city so that people can get frequent flyer miles or whatever, I'm not interested. I mean, that's not the business we're in. Right now, you can pay by check, you can pay by cash, you can pay by electronic funds transfer. It's pretty automatic. I mean,
To a large degree of payment, if you had a user pay system, it would come in like electronic funds payment. You know, we would get the information pretty much in that same format.
Well, what's the pleasure? What do you folks,
I would not be one to support this. I just don't see any advantage or benefit to it to anybody. I really don't. And we're only talking about a small percentage of the people, and the reasons that Lori cited for that are probably part of it, and I don't think we need to support that.
I just don't know it's where we want to put resources and, effort right now, given tight budgets and.
Randy?
If you could
Okay.
convince me, I'm sorry, if you could convince me that more people would pay their bills on time, or we'd be collecting at a higher percentage, I'd maybe consider it.
So the
There was
cost benefit?
some- Yeah, but I guess I'm not seeing it from the city's standpoint.
I'm not willing to give up on the issue yet. I think Neil has got yet some, I don't know, not to, just on what you've learned so far since you've been here, but I think there's a lot more to learn on what we can and can't provide our residents. Well, we're going to agree to disagree, because I think, maybe we should table it, get more information. Maybe you should sit down with the banking people, and maybe Mike Kruger after he gets back from vacation, and talk about it. I don't want to belittle it. If you guys aren't interested, but you are not, you possibly could be.
Like I said, only if you can prove to me there's something to be gained as far as collections rates or.
Do you have if you want to table it, that's great. Get some more information.
Because I did have them lined up to come back and speak with more information. You received that information. Well, it wasn't given to the rest of you, so.
I forwarded it on to, Neil had it,
Right.
yeah.
And I've corresponded with them, but then we're still in the, making that investment on
Right.
behalf of the utility.
Okay,
So I think the utility needs to get involved as well. So I'd like to table this. I move to table it.
okay. Is there a second to table?
Is it indefinitely or?
No.
Well, then you should say, if you're
Postpone.
tabling it, it's
Yeah,
until
it's-
someone makes a motion to bring it back to the council. If you want to postpone it to a certain date, or when there's information brought.
So somebody will forget it if I post. Or
If you table it, and,
No one-
yeah,
'cause
someone
I'll bring
made
it
a
back up, but
motion.
then you're gonna be like, what are you talking about?
No, I
But it
keep
would
bringing
have
it
to
back
be
on the agenda.
approved. It would have to be a motion that's set.
So we want to postpone it till there's more information.
That okay? Postpone? We don't need a motion then,
Okay.
right?
Well,
Correct?
you might want to make a motion just so it's clear in the minutes what your decision is on this matter.
Okay, you want to move to postpone it, Randy?
Postpone for the 2 meetings from now.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries 3-1. I want to skip over 9. Let's go right to the review bids and select vendor for gasoline and diesel fuel for the period of 9/1/11 to 8/31. Nancy? Got some good pricing there.
Okay, yeah, we advertised for the fuel bids in a different manner this year after consulting with the Public Works Director, and he talked with some other people that put out bids. So We came up with a different way to do it this year, and it was based on the markup per gallon on any given day, instead of the market price on a certain day,
Okay.
as we did in the past. So what you have before you there is the 3 bids that were received, and the apparent low bidder is Consolidated Energy Cooperative.
And we've used those people before in the past, correct?
I think they
Years
had
ago?
they had the contract before Yoakum had it.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
I'll move to approve the bid from Consolidated Energy Cooperative.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have an application by Martin with Suski for a taxi cab license, Kilimanjaro Taxi. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the.
Is there a second?
Application.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are you not doing this one?
Yes, we're gonna, but I wanted to make sure we get the other thing because we have a is it 5:45 meeting? Next on the agenda, and I don't know if we'll get to it, but insurance on special events. Randy, I think you asked to have this put
Yeah.
on the agenda.
I just wanted to go over it and see what was the cause of this action to be in place as an ordinance, and if it's kind of being burdensome to bigger events to go and jump through all the hoops, whether we should just reduce it so it doesn't keep coming up on our agenda.
Why don't you give us the background?
Yeah, I think the background was we checked with the city's insurer on what they would recommend, and this is what they recommended.
It seemed to me the discussion also reflected the fact that you're not always going to get local people having these
Right.
events, and you could get some big event coming into town that,
Trans-
not saying they're bad events, but you just don't know them, and I think that was why the number was put in there to give you the opportunity to keep it higher in case there was some.
Right, and it just have a lot more variables and a lot more risk associated with it. So
One
it
of
gives
the-
you the opportunity
Yep.
to look at the event and have some idea of potential liability.
We've had the chamber events, Spirit in the Park, and then we've had the Booster Club. I think those are the 2 exceptions. Do you, anybody remember
Well,
any?
the hot air affair.
Hot air
I mean,
affair.
I think it's not so much, it's
Local?
that it's that the size of the events are smaller, and the city knows what's involved and can deal with the potential, has an understanding of the potential liability, but some larger event may come in where you need or want 3 million, and then it's in your ordinance.
Rather than saying, oh, for you, we want 3 million.
Right,
That you can't.
right, they're all pretty consistent in terms of the size and the type of events that you've had and you've reduced the liability for. But you don't know what might come in the door, and it gives you that opportunity to require a higher amount if you deem it appropriate.
'Cause I think this was changed 5-6 years ago, is when it was
Yeah.
Yeah.
changed.
When we redid the whole
Special events.
special event ordinance.
What's your thought, Randy?
You got Ruth and Kim here, what do you think of this? Is it just, if I may ask them,
Sure.
real quickly?
The reason, should I know or not?
Sure.
Well, the reason that I think we all feel thankful that you are willing to lower the rates for the reasons that the mayor mentioned is because that extra insurance, we discovered, costs between $700 and $800. So it's a significant impact to our local events. I think that understanding where you're coming from as, if you had a large event that you were unfamiliar with, I guess from my point of view, just speaking for the Chamber's events, we are okay coming to you for an exception, knowing that you're open to that if we're all treated the same way. And I guess I can see the validity of keeping it in your ordinance in case you need it. So that would be my 2 cents. I don't know if Hot Air Fair feels the same way. Yeah.
That's all I was asking, just to talk about it.
Okay. Any
I'll
other?
move that we leave ordinance 150-8 as written.
Well, I'm thinking,
Pardon?
do we need a motion? It was just for information. I wasn't looking for
Well, it
any.
won't be changed without a motion, so you can go either way.
Do we have a motion to leave it the same? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, at this point, any other agenda items for future, or items for future agendas? Any comments?
Just want, if you could maybe start looking at your calendars for early October, to start looking at the budget. So just if you're gonna be gone a full week or something, just kind of let me know otherwise.
Okay. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. We're going to call our